Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. So many hellos. Hello. As always, I am joined by my fabulous co-host, Kate Sitaris. Hello, Kate. Hello. So many. 4, 6, many hellos. I love it.
Having a good day.
And today, we are super excited to be joined by copywriter and star CCA student, Jess Frischholz.
Hey, Jess. Hey, I just switch it up.
Ooh, hey, I like that. The double hey. Hey, Jess, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. We are super excited to have you here today. We were just saying, we're starting to chat, and then we said, wait, save it for the episode. But we're looking at your story and everything that has happened and the transformations in your life. And we said, we can't wait to share this with the followers and the students and everybody. So I guess the question is, why am I still talking?
I don't know, because things have been wild in my life. So I'm like, where do I start?
Oh, I'm so excited. Well, so where should you start? Where's the kind of the beginning of the transformation for you? How did you get started with all this?
Sure. So I was going to say long story short, but there's no way I can make this short because there's just too much has happened. So like many people in the CCA, I am a former teacher, and I know there's a lot of people in there who still are teachers, which that was me, teacher and working on copywriting. And even before the whole crazy times of the pandemic happened, I was already kind of getting to the point of checking out. It wasn't feeling right. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I mean, I could go into a whole tangent on teaching and all of that, but we don't need to. But so when the whole pandemic thing happened, it just made it worse. And so I was just miserable. To put it nicely, miserable. So during that, what was that? The 2021 school year, which was deep in the heart of this whole pandemic thing, I was and I promise this is relevant, I promise. But I was why not take on more and put more on my plate? So I actually enrolled in yoga teacher training. So for a little background on that, that's been a daily, the yoga practice has been a part of my daily life every single day, non-negotiable since 2015. So I was why not just learn a little more about that? I don't know if I'm going to teach. I don't know if it's just going to deepen my own practice, but let's just do it. I need a little bit of grounding during this time. So let's take on more. So beyond just yoga knowledge and all of this and that, I think I definitely didn't expect what was going to come from that, because there was a lot of deep reflection, a lot of inner work, a lot of just kind of looking into all aspects of life, because yoga is not a narrow, it's a lifestyle. It's not just a hobby, it's everything. So, that ended in May of 21. And so I was all right, I'm a week or two away from summer break. I've got a nice time to sit and reflect and start digging into just everything. Right. And I always hated summer break because everybody I know doesn't have summer break. Oh, yeah. So I'm sitting there by myself and I'm just I'm bored. What am I going to do? So I have to find things to do because all my friends, family, everyone is working like normal people, So I'm okay. So I started trying to think okay, I know I cannot teach for much longer. I know. And I was I know I'm going to be teaching this next school year because there's no way I can figure something out in 2 months. But I was I got to start figuring out a path here. So I started thinking about things that I'm good at. Let's just start with this. Cause I'm I don't want to go back to school. I already went and got a master's. I don't need to go back again, So I started just writing down lists of things that I'm good at. And one of them was writing, which I don't want to toot my own horn, but I've always been told I'm a good writer. And I did a lot of it during that master's degree. So, so I did that and everything. And I started kind of looking into different things. So, started looking into writing, looking into different kinds of writing, looking at how poorly a lot of these writing jobs pay. Started to think do I really want to ghost write a 250-page romance novel? No, I don't. That sounds miserable also. So I came across copywriting and I was what is this? And just started digging more into it, kind of like the nitty gritty details, what it entails. And I was like, this is actually pretty appealing. And I like how this sounds. And so I started looking more into it. And then by the power of the email gods, I started getting ads for it. And I'm like, So, whatever you guys are putting in for your ads there, it works. And then I got the ad where it was like, are you a teacher? And I'm like, I am. It's like, did you know copywriting? It's good for teachers. I'm like, tell me more. So like, yeah, like A+ on your ads. But yeah, so then I started digging into CCA and seeing like, hey, what is this program all about? I watched the video. I hesitated. I doubted, pretty typical. I looked into other copywriting courses because I naturally am a person who is going to like look at everything. Like I'm going to dig deep. I'm not just going to be like, oh yeah, impulsive, let's do it. Like I want to know everything. So I was like looking into all the nooks and crannies of everything I could find. I'm like, is this legit? Like, are all these other ones legit? Like who's the best? And I just kept coming back to CCA. So I enrolled in June of 21. So about a month after my yoga training ended and I came to this whole revelation and all of that. And then I just like dug deep that whole summer. And then the school year started. And then I kind of trailed off because it was just a lot going on. And then so winter break came and I was like, all right, I haven't done much with CCA. I got to about the point where I started doing action sheets and then I just then that's where the school year started. So I was rusty. Knowledge was, from a few months ago, hadn't looked into it, hadn't done anything with it. And you guys were talking about the Right Start event. And I was like, all right, this is it. Like, I'm going to do this. Like I printed out I got it printed out. I was like, I want this like official. So I got it printed out and bound and I was like, all right, ready to go. And I worked through that whole thing and I was like, all right, like this is it. No more excuses. Like I can't sit here and complain about my life if I'm not going to do things to change it. And so I went back to the action sheets. I like refreshed my memory, pressed forward with the other ones, didn't even finish all of the modules, if I'm being completely honest, because then within a couple months, so that was like July. So by March, I had landed an ongoing contract, like part-time. And I was like, holy cow, it works.
That's awesome. Yeah, all of this is, good for you. Good
Thanks.
For you for digging back in because I feel like that's always one of the hardest things. I think it happens to a lot of people. And the difference between folks that are working as copywriters is really that ability to jump back in and say, you know what, like I'm going to keep going, even though I have to refresh maybe a little bit and go back to go forward.
Absolutely. So yeah. And so starting in March, I was teaching and then I was doing this job on evenings and weekends because I was like, all right, I'm going to make this happen. And I'm like, cool. Now I'm getting real world experience along with like the spec pieces that I did in the, like within the course and everything. I'm like, oh, now I'm getting like real world work. Like I'm getting paid for this work, so it was like exciting too. So, I did that, all the way through the school year and then summer break hit again. This time it's 2022. And I'm like, all right, there is no way I'm going back to teach in August. I'm like, there's no way. I didn't resign yet because I still technically had the job. And I was like, just in case, because again, doubt and fear and all of that. And like, when that's all the thought of, jumping out into like the freelance world is terrifying. It's like, you never know that life. Like that life is not what society says is like the way to do things. So it's like, is this actually going to happen? Like my family is like, we love you. We care about you. Like, are you sure? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. So the whole summer I was like pitching and applying and everything. And like up until this point, I did have other like one-off clients here and there. Like I had the contract job and little like things here and there working on welcome sequences. And actually I did a lot of emails. It's I love email. So that's fine with me. But, I was getting interviews. I was getting second interviews. I was having people tell me that my writing is phenomenal and they love it. And there was always a but. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, okay, don't get discouraged. Keep going. Like, I can't even tell you guys how many things I applied for, how many people I pitched, and just like nothing was just secured. you know, and I don't remember who it is that I listen. It's a podcast I listen to, but she always says, if not this, what does she say? It's like, if it's not this, the next one is better, or it's not this, but something better. Yeah. And so, you know, it's kind of like, all right, well, that's fine. This seemed like the dream job, but something better is coming. So I get to the end of July and just nothing. And I'm like, oh, like I got to step back in that classroom in like 2 weeks here and start setting up and this and that. And I'm like, started looking at my bank account, seeing how much I had saved up. And I was like, I'm good for a while. I'm like, do I just pull the trigger? And then I did. So I sat there and I just like typed up in a Google Doc, I like typed up my resignation letter, and I was like, am I actually going to do this? Like, I don't have anything, like, I still have this very part-time contract job. I still have little one-off clients here and there. I definitely am not making enough, but I'm like, what I am making plus what I have saved up, I'm like, I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to trust that something happens. And I know that's what we're not supposed to do, but I did it anyway. And so I sent the resignation letter. I cried. I was excited. I was like overwhelmed with like all of the emotions. I was like scared and happy and excited and terrified. And so that was July, like the end of July and of 2022. And then within a month, I came into contact with I don't know what her title was at the time, but she was like the senior designer or the design manager, whatever her title was. But I got into contact with her at the job that I'm currently still working at. And so, you know, I've been there for almost a year. I'm a contract employee with them, and I'm their first copywriter. And so it's like, I'm a contract employee, but it feels like I'm in-house. It's a very cool kind of like blend of the two. Mm-hmm. I have like the coolest design team that I get to work with. We're very much collaborative, working back and forth. Like, I'm like, see, if not this, then something better. And I'm like, something better came. And so it's like, it just a month after I put in that resignation, I was in contact with them, and the rest. And now this is what I do. I'm like, it's so cool.
Awesome.
That's so fantastic. Yeah. That's so fantastic. Yeah. And good for you for taking, you know, you're right that taking a leap into the unknown is not necessarily always what we'd advocate, but when you feel called to do it, and you know that you're the kind of person who, when you take that leap, you're going to go, all right, I'm going to figure this out. Because there are certainly some people who take a leap and then kind of shrivel up, right? Then go, oh no, I shouldn't have done that, and go back and or just stop taking action. But good for you for listening to yourself, and then also really following through, because that can be incredibly difficult.
Yeah. And it's so discouraging. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, it's so discouraging when you just keep getting no's, but it's like, you cannot stop, because like the work is out there, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. But Kate, you were saying?
No, I was just going to add that, you know, you looked at your bank account, because I know you said, you know, not supposed to do it, but I think that's the key for everyone is it depends. Because I think everyone asks kind of that similar question, like, should I do it now? When should I leave my job? When's the right time? And it's very individual, right? I mean, but you looked at the finances and it worked. So good for you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm not one to take risks, like, you know, historically. So this was just like out of control for me. I was like, what am I doing? So I needed to make sure that if I failed, I was able to fail for a while, you know, and not just put myself like into a hole, like financially, emotionally, like all of it. So yeah.
Yeah. And now, is this job remote, or do you go into an office?
This is my office. I work from home. So, which is great, because we want to talk about transformative year. So here's part 2. So when I started with them, I was living in another state. And so that was, you know, another thing that was kind of just along with the teaching. It was, I just didn't want to be there anymore. I felt stuck. I was like, well, I'm like married to living here because I'm a teacher in this state and I'm certified in this state. And you can't just leave when you're teaching, because it's like you have a whole bunch of things to jump through. And I don't know, maybe it's different now, but when you move, it's like you have to, get certified there. And depending on what state you lived in and what state you're moving to, there could be different requirements. Like it's a mess. And so once I quit teaching and once I got this contract, in like early September, like things just, you guys, like I just went crazy. I was like, if I would make all the big changes, I'm just going to do it all at once. So I sold my townhouse in November. So just 2 months after this, the contract position started, and I moved 500 miles away into my new place here. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even have to like skip a beat with my work. Like I literally told them, I'm like, I'm going to be out, Thursday, Friday, I'm moving. I'll be back on Monday. See you guys. And it's like, nothing stopped, like I think the only thing that technically changed was that they had to like do 1099s for, the different state. But like, as far as my work goes, like, I'm like, this is great. Like, not like literally nothing changed. I still have the same job. I still do the same thing. And I didn't have to worry about finding that new position or, going through the whole thing all over again because I wanted to move. So it like created that sense of freedom in so many ways. Cause I'm like, I can just go,
Such a good feeling, right? I mean,
to
not feel, even if you don't want to move, but just knowing that you can is
like, you can do a lot of things. Yeah. Do whatever you want. Yeah. It was really freeing. So
that's fantastic. Well, and so you say you can do a lot of things. You can do whatever you want. Do you have any ideas about other stuff you want to do? Like, are you thinking about traveling? Are you thinking about what's in your head?
Move 500 miles again.
Yes.
Don't do that. That sounds
no, like where I'm at now is good. Honestly, like I like traveling. I don't like the idea of traveling as a lifestyle. I very much am a routine person. So like when I talk about freedom, I know, some people are like, oh, I'm going to go here and there and I'm just going to work from my RV and, and that's great. Like for me, I'm like, I think I need a little more like consistency than that. So like for me, the freedom is that I get to choose when I want to wake up, which is still like 5:30. Maybe I'm crazy, but but like I've been able to create like a routine that works for me, not around a job like teaching, so it's like, we started this at 8 a.m. for anybody listening. I already did my yoga practice before this, so it's like, but like, I get to do that. Like I get to wake up early and eat breakfast when I want. I get to practice yoga before I start my work. Like I can do stuff for me and for like my own business. And then I can start working on things for my contract position. And then I can work out or I can go for a walk. It's like, it's those kinds of things where I have that freedom to like kind of create that schedule and create that routine that really works for me. That to me is like, it's huge. And it might not seem like a lot for some people, like, oh, okay, cool. Like you get to work out in the middle of the day, or you get to go for a walk, or you do yoga at, 7 a.m, like a crazy person. Like I like that. But like the fact that, this has opened up those opportunities for me, and like just to not feel exhausted because like I'm doing something fulfilling, like that, those are the kind of like freedoms that have been really like important to me, I guess.
I think that's wonderful. And especially because, the thing is, it is a big deal because there are a lot of people out there who don't have that, who are doing jobs because they feel like they have to do that job and whose schedule is not under their control, sometimes from the moment they get up till the time they go to bed. So it's so wonderful, really, that you've taken that into your own hands, and now you get to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it.
Yeah, it's been huge. And like, I'm not going to lie, at first it was hard. Like, we go into this and we're like, oh yeah, like I'm going to have freedom. And then you're like, wait, I actually am the one who creates my schedule now. And like, I'm the one that has to make sure everything gets done. And I'm the one that has to manage my time. And like everything falls on these two shoulders right here. Like, and so, at first you're like, oh great, like I can do whatever I want. And then you're like, I'm literally in control. Like I'm the one in control. And so like, there was definitely a bit of adjustment and like, okay, like figuring out, like, is this going to take me writing things down in my planner? Is this going to take me setting things, like what is going to work for me? And like, there was that little bit of adjustment time where it's like, I was trying different things like, okay, is this going to work for me? I'm like, it didn't really work. Is this going to work? No, not really. So it's like, it doesn't just fall into place. And maybe for some it might, but like for me, it definitely did. Because it's like, as a teacher, like I'm literally told like like at this time, this is happening at this time, like the day is very much regimented. Like I can't even use the bathroom when I really have to go. And that right there is a great freedom that I have now. Like I love to drink water. And then you know what happens after you drink a lot of water? You gotta go. And I can just get up and go. And I'm like that's a dream to me. Like all my teachers out there, like it's though, like, yeah.
That's such a good reminder, though, of things that we take for granted after a while of doing this. It's such a good, I'm like, oh yeah, that is actually a really great perk. Like,
I know it really is.
Yeah. Well, and obviously landing your contract position was a huge win. But what have been some other wins as you've been on this? I hesitate to say the word journey because it sounds like a reality show, but it really is a journey. Yeah,
it is. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, like there's no better way to explain it. And I hate that. But at the same time, it's like, well, it is a journey. So I know I already talked about like just a lot of wins, the freedom, the moving, the fact that I didn't have to teach anymore is a huge win. But again, like taking that kind of that leap of faith and just going into it and then landing this position to where I'm making the same amount of money as I was teaching within a month of quitting teaching. Like without having, but like that, like the teaching position, like I needed a master's degree and years of experience to get to that level of pay. And I took a copywriting course, the CCA, shout out, shameless plug. So I took the CCA and I did the work and I got in that group and I just went at it and like got the experience there, got experience with the other clients and the other contract job. So by the time this one came along, I had the work to show for it. I had the experience. I had that proof that like, I'm a damn good writer and I can do the things that they need me to do. And it's like, did this even just happen? Like, I didn't have to get another degree to get the same amount of pay. Like, I didn't have to spend years studying. Like, it blew my mind. So, I mean, that's huge. So like, if people are wondering like, well, do you get paid well? Like, yeah, you can absolutely, maybe some people don't, but like, if you're a good writer and you know what you're doing and, you can add more than the copy also, like you can add the strategy and like, you're a voice and, you give insights and perspectives within meetings and like, you're an actual active participant in whatever setting that you're in. Like, yeah, the money is there, the work is there, So, I mean, that right there is a huge win. Like I was able to basically seamlessly transition, keep the same, kind of lifestyle that I'm used to, which is not very frivolous at all. Like I'm a very modest, humble person, but like, I didn't have to like sacrifice things. I just kind of, transitioned from one to another. And I was like, okay, cool. So that was huge. And then I think another one that maybe doesn't get talked about a lot is just like my mental health. Like, teaching was hard and, like, sure, I wasn't doing physical labor and I wasn't like exhausting my body in that way. But like when you're falling asleep, driving home every day because your brain power just like it's gone, like that's horrible. Like I would have the whole evening and I would do nothing because I couldn't, like my brain was just like, it was mush. Like there was like no energy, no will to do anything else. And I was just like, this is horrible. Like I would just watch hours go by and I'm like, I can't do anything, So it's like having something where it's more fulfilling. It's challenging. And I like that too. Cause like, I very much was just going through the motions of the job. Sometimes it felt like it was more behavior management than fun. And it's just like, when you get told off by little ones and you can't tell them don't say that because things are weird nowadays. Like it really gets to you. And so it's like, I get acknowledged for my good work. I feel fulfilled. It's challenging in like all of the good ways where it's like the work is different and it's like a puzzle. And I just love that so much. It's like I'm always doing a puzzle. It's like, here's the things we need. And now you need to figure out how to do it. And I'm like sitting here, like putting all the pieces together. And then I'm like, here's your completed puzzle. And they're like, yeah, you did it. This is great. And I'm like, yes, I did it. Like, it's strategy, it's creativity. Because I was an art teacher. So I have very much a creative background and I, make art and all that stuff. But it's like, it's strategy, it's creativity. It's like this just awesome blend of these two things. And I love it so much.
I'm curious, as much as you're comfortable sharing or can share, what types of projects are you working on? What is it? Is it a specific niche? Is it doing a bunch of different things? And I know you talked about collaborating with designers. And so how's that been too? Basically tell us all about the job.
Oh yeah, it's great. So I work for a pet supplement company. And so it's like, this was one of the most surprising things to me too, is like, there is just an endless amount of work. Like I'm a contractor with them. I do probably on average about, I'd say like 28 to 30 hours a week. And so like, I could still take on more work if I wanted to. I don't need to. Oh yeah. And like the fact that like I'm making as much as I was teaching, like I'm not working a 40-hour day or a 40-hour week, by the way, like just saying, which is great. But it's just like, there's just an endless amount of stuff to do. Like, endless. Like I'm working on ads, like social media ads, the captions and the scripts for the actual ads. It's like I'm working on emails, different flows, different one-off like nurture emails, doing revisions of like old things like the welcome sequence or like when you take the quiz and then you get the sequence after that, the quiz sequence. And it's like things like that. I'm doing web pages and landing pages and the packaging, like working on the copy on packaging that people hold this product in their hand and they're reading things that I wrote. And I'm like, that's wild. And it's like, I know it's crazy. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, there's so much, I'll help our social media queen. I'll help her with like captions sometimes just for like the organic side as well. It's just like endless. Like the homepage banner is constantly changing depending on if we're pushing a different product or we have a promotion or we're just doing like a general statement about whatever. It's like, that's always changing. New products need a whole bunch of like stuff for the launch, displays for in store. It's just like, it just doesn't end. And so there's a lot of recurring things like, emails and the ads and this and that, but it's like, they're always a little bit different. So it's like, you can get familiar and comfortable in the style of writing, but then there's still that like challenge and there's still that variety because it's never truly exactly the same. But it's like, it's crazy. Like I'm writing scripts for video, like our products were featured on a morning daytime show or whatever. And I like wrote the script and then we watched the video. I'm like, she's saying my words. Like, I don't even know this lady. And she's like, da, 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 da. I'm like, oh my God, it's so wild. Like, and it's like, I look at like the calendar. It's like a year ago is when I resigned, like, and went into copywriting like full time. Cause like, yeah, I was doing the stuff on the side before that, but it's like in just a year, it's like crazy how many things can change that you like literally have no idea what's about to come,
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
Happy for you.
Yeah.
Happy for you. Really.
Good for you. But truly like good for you for recognizing when something was not working and being willing to make a change and being willing to explore. And good for you for taking all these actions. It's one thing to go, oh, I wish something were different, or I don't like this anymore. I just wish something would change. And it is a whole other thing to go, okay, I'm going to make something change. And you did. So good for you.
Yeah, thanks. And like, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't hard. I'd be lying if I said I didn't cry a lot. I was a very emotional person during that whole transition, but it's like, it's a lot of new things. It's scary because it's new. It's like, and I feel like you've actually said this. I'm like, who said this? No, it was probably you. But like, as adults, like we don't often put ourselves in those beginner shoes again. So it's like, like I said, I have a bachelor's in education. I have a master's in curriculum and instruction. That's what I know. That's what I do. That was my quote unquote path for my life. And that's all I study. That's all I like really dedicated time to. So it's like, when you take a step back and you start to kind of like dig into something new, and like, that was like, all of my education, all of my career experience, that was a lot of years. It's 16 years. I wrote an email about this. That's why I know the number. 16 years of schooling and, second, like the master's degree and then career experience. And then I'm like, oh, I am just going to study copywriting now. And it's really hard. And I've only been working at it for a couple months. And why can't I get this? Like, why is this so hard? And it's like, you gotta, like, you're not comparing like apples to apples, it's like, it can be really hard to put yourself in that, like that new mindset of like, okay, it's hard, but like, just keep going because, like it'll get better. Like teaching was hard at first, school, whatever it is that you're studying is hard at first, but then like, as you go and then you're like, oh yeah, this is easy. I'm great at this. But it's like, we forget that even the things we were good at were hard at first. So it's like, even now I look back, I started CCA just over 2 years ago. And it's like, I look back then at like, oh man, this is a lot of knowledge. Like, how am I going to do this? And then I look now and I'm like, piece of cake, like not a problem. But it's like, there's so much that goes on in those periods of like learning and growth and just like absorbing the knowledge, but then also taking action on the knowledge. Cause it's like, you can read all the self-help books or all the copywriting books or all the entrepreneur books or all the books about whatever it is that you're doing. But like, if you don't take action, like you're just collecting knowledge for the sake of knowing random things,
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Yeah, Jess, this has really been fantastic. I think my last question would be if someone is listening to this, maybe they're Jess in the position that you were 2 years ago going, I don't like what I'm doing. I'm kind of interested in copywriting. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, that's great. Because I know there's a lot of people who are in that position where it's like, this is what I know, but I don't like this and I can't do this. And like, what can I do? So like, I would say, again, shameless plug CCA, but I would say like, look into CCA and like, if it's not vibing with you, like look into other things. See, there's so many things around there, but like, absolutely get guidance. And, like, sure, there's a bunch of free resources out there. Like freebies are great. I got my own freebies for my own like business side, which is something completely different than the copywriting for clients. But it's like, freebies are great. I get freebies. I love freebies. But being enrolled in a course really, like, I needed somebody to hold my hand and tell me, Jess, do this. And then Jess, do that. Cause like my mind was so focused on teaching and because that's my job at the time. So it's like, I didn't have time to sit here and be like, okay, I did this, but now what do I do? And like, okay, if I'm going to even like jump into freelancing, like, how do I do that? Like, I needed something that was going to like literally hold my hand. Like, okay, Nicki and Kate are holding my hands and they're like, come on, Jess, we'll show you the way. And I'm like, thanks, ladies. Like, I needed somebody or a course or something to do that. But that's me. So I would say like, first get clear on like what it is that you need. Are you do you have that just like drive and the time to do it yourself? Great. Do you have limited time and you just really need to make the most of those evenings and weekends? Then absolutely, I would say get guidance, like get the training, like the group, the Facebook group, goodness gracious. Like it's like the best thing in the world that you didn't know you needed until you got it. And you were like, whoa, like, that's great. Like the amount of just additional knowledge that you get from the group alone is like invaluable. You know, it's like, oh, I have this question, but I'm too embarrassed to share it. Oh, look, somebody else asked the same question. Like, I'm not the only one, but like everybody is helpful. You get actual feedback from the coaches, from your peers. And it's like very much a collaboration over competition type mindset, which is great. So I would say, so yeah, find a course, get involved, get some sort of support group, because like, you know, your friends and your family love you and they care about you, but they don't always understand this new thing that you're doing because, you know, and it could be for, I'm not in their heads. It could be for different reasons. It could be because, you know, deep down inside, they wish that they could do it. And so they're jealous. It could be because they've got the old school mindset of like, well, wait, the 9 to 5 with the W-2 and the health benefits, that's what you got to do. Like, it could be from a place of love and care and concern. So it's so helpful to surround yourself with that, like that network, that community of people that are going through what you're going through. So, you know, which again, CCA's got that built in because of the Facebook group. And then I would also say, just kind of going back to more of that like mindset stuff, because that's been like really huge for me. And I know you guys talk about it, but I think in general, in like the online digital learning courses world, it just doesn't get talked about enough. But like, things are going to be hard. Absolutely. So I would say, like, if, you know, when you're getting into those moments where you feel discouraged, whether you're doing the work and it just doesn't seem to be clicking, or you're at the point where you're pitching or you're applying or you're doing whatever and nothing seems to be biting, like, don't give up completely. Take a break. Sure. You know, if you need to pull back and just be like, okay, what is going on here? But like, take the break, center yourself, reflect, do whatever you need to do to kind of like get back into that mindset, and then just go back at it. Like, I wish it came easy. It didn't, you know, maybe it came easier for me than others. Some other people, like I would see their wins. I'm like, how did you do that so fast? Like, what in the world? So like, it's everybody's journey. Everyone's journey is different. And so I would say, like, don't get discouraged when you feel like it's just failing, like a failure after a failure. Like, it's not a failure. It's an opportunity to learn and to grow and to keep going. And that can be really, really hard to kind of like get into that mindset, you know? Mm-hmm. So like, I think that would be, you know, one of the biggest things for me is like just being okay with, and I hate saying failure, but like, you know, being okay with failure, accepting that, like, you know, things are going to be hard, but then taking that and just like, okay, that was hard. That didn't go how I wanted it to go, whatever it is that happened. But then just, you know, use that as like, okay, what happened there? Mm-hmm. Let me see, like, what was it, or what is it that I can change? And then just like take that, learn from it, and then just like keep going. Because like, whatever it is that you have your mindset on, or whatever dreams that you have, like, they are yours. I don't know when, but they are yours. Like, whether it's going to happen tomorrow or in a month, but like, just keep going, because you're not going to reach them if you stop, you know?
Yeah. Well, and if I may, and I don't want to revise your story by any means, but I would just pose the point or the idea that failure means it ended, right? It stopped. You hit a brick wall, you fell back, you went back to teaching, but that's not what happened. You kept going, and everybody who has hit hit a wall or hit a speed bump or hit whatever, throw in your metaphor, but if you keep going, it's not a failure. It's a failure if you stop. And you are the poster child for not stopping, right? For saying, all right, this is what I want. Yeah. I understand. Okay, that was a setback. Did I like how that felt? No. This, I don't like doing this. This makes me feel uncomfortable. Okay, but I'm going to keep doing it. And sure. And I think that is, and I certainly will not break down your success into one thing.
Oh yeah.
But I do think that your persistence and your willingness to just say, all right, I didn't like how that felt. I'm going to keep going. I didn't like how that felt either. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
I think that from the outside, observing you and now getting to know you, I would guess that that's a major factor in your success. And not everybody's willing to do that because people don't like being uncomfortable.
It sucks. It sucks being uncomfortable. It's not fun. And I mean, there's still things like to this day right now where it's like, I look at my planner and I'm like, I really wanted to have XYZ done 3 months ago, but it's scary. And I'm not sitting here like, oh, everything's easy for me now. Like I did it and I can just like keep doing it. Like I am still struggling very much with, certain aspects of like things that I want to do in the future with my own business and like things that I want to achieve. And I just look at them and I'm like, like that's scary. Like copywriting wasn't scary. That was easy, but this is scary. Like, I don't know what's different about it, but it's like so it's very much something that I'm still struggling with. It's like this whole transition out of, the traditional 9 to 5 into freelancing. Like that was a huge like hurdle that I was just like, I'm just going to try to leap over it. Maybe I'll catch my foot as I'm like, and I'll kind of fall on my face and fall a little bit. But it's like you said, like that persistence and just like pushing through those uncomfortable moments, like, it may take a few tries and it may take a little bit like extra persistence beyond what you thought you'd need to do. Like maybe you're like, this will be a breeze. And then you get there and you're like, oh, this is hard. Like this is taking longer than I thought. But I mean, and like things are still going to come up. Like I said, I'm still working through things where I'm just looking at it and I'm like, oh, like I have to figure out how to work through this. But it's like, yeah, that persistence is huge. And being okay with being uncomfortable is also huge.
Yeah. Well, and that's the human condition, right? Is that as soon as you you're like, I did this thing and that was challenging. And then you get to a point, you're like, oh, well, no, it's not challenging anymore. Now I want that. Like, wait, that's challenging now too. Oh, it's as we grow as humans and every time we level up, you encounter something that's going to take you out of your comfort zone again. But the cool thing is that the more that you do that and the more that you step outside of your comfort zone and the more you persist, the more when you get to that new level, you're like, oh, that's going to be challenging. But I do kind of remember that this is the exact same thing I was thinking and feeling on that last level. And oh yeah, okay, I can get through this. And it will never be easy by any means.
But you're like, I can do hard things.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. The challenges get just a little bit easier to surmount.
Yeah.
Good for you.
They become more palatable.
Yes.
You're like, I still don't like it all the way, but it's just a little bit better.
Yeah. Exactly. Jess, this has been fantastic. Now, if someone is listening to you and they're like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. I want to hire this woman to write my copy. How can they find you? What's the best way?
Yeah. So I have a website. So it's Frisch Copy. So FRISCH copy.com, which you can read about what I do, see some of my work on there. I also have a weekly blog. Which I focus on email copywriting and specifically story-driven copywriting, which is like a whole nother tangent I could go on. Pretty sure we don't have the time for that. But, that's one of the things that I found out I kind of have like this just like deep passion for. So I focus a lot of the blog on the aspects of storytelling, email copywriting, mindset, entrepreneurship, stuff like that. So there's just like other bits of little information and little bits of goodness that you can find on the blog on that page as well. But yeah, that would be the best place to reach me because I have a love-hate relationship with social media. And while my Instagram handle is also Frisch Copy, I'm on there. I just don't post a lot. So if you DM me on there, like, I'll be, hey, well, how's it going? But I'm just like hiding.
Well, and we will put those links in the show notes. So no worries if people are going back, like, how do I write that down?
How do I spell her name? It's so hard.
Believe me, girl, Krozek. I know.
I was like, we're like part of the hard last name crew here.
Yeah. Sitars, Krozek, and Schultz.
We all have Z's, which is delightful. So
we do.
Yeah. Look at us.
The Z crew.
Bunch of champions. Well, then, all I can say then is Jess, thank you for being on. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Such a delight. And then, a farewell from the Z crew. We'll catch you all in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.